Ladies and gentlemen, from Pride Buckeyes.
Underneath the San Gabriel Mountains in Pasadena, California, lies a 91,000-seat crown jewel of New Year's Day. It's Rose Bowl Stadium in the Los Angeles, California area, getting set for the 111th Rose Bowl game. This year, it's a battle of two Big Ten teams, conference foes facing off in this hallowed event for the first time in the 111 playings of this very game. It's number 8 seed Ohio State and number 1 Oregon, with a trip to the college football playoff semifinal and a date against either Arizona State or Texas on the line. 25 minutes away from kickoff between the Buckeyes and the Ducks. This is SGSR's Countdown to Kickoff. Hi everybody and welcome in from the Keith Jackson Broadcast Center. Boy, that's a really great thing to say.
Oh, yeah.
Alongside Austin Crume, Connor Schuh, Connor Canfield, I'm Tyler Danburg. Austin, for those that are listening right now, the Ohio State Marching Band is out on the field. The Oregon Ducks Marching Band entering the tunnel to our left. Parcels of green and scarlet sparkle underneath a beautiful cirrus cloud blue sky on a 71-degree January afternoon. How incredible is this atmosphere?
I mean, you talk to anybody who's been to this event or been to the Rose Bowl Stadium itself. Of course, UCLA plays here, former Pac-12, now Big Ten as well, along with Oregon. They talk it to death almost. It's this, the granddaddy of them all, of course, the nickname of this fabled game, the fabled stadium. Throw all of that out the window. Once you get here, you see the San Gabriel Mountains across the left side of the stadium. Like you said, 91,000 in. Oregon painted end zone to the left, Ohio State end zone painted to the right. The giant Rose Bowl presented by Credential right in the center of the field itself. This is something that you dream of, and even those dreams might not come as close to reality once this all comes to fruition.
And who would have thought that after October 12th, when Oregon beat Ohio State 32-31 inside Otsu Stadium in Eugene, Oregon, that these two teams would be playing each other yet again. Third time since 1951, Ohio State has faced an opponent twice in the same season. Last time they've lost twice to the same opponent in the same season was Wittenberg in 1894. So, Austin, how do they try and continue that streak and make sure they don't lose to the Ducks twice in this season?
Well, partner, let's first think about this. Leaving Autzen Stadium, the pockets of Scarlet that made the trip over 2,000 miles, the fans came together, converged, and said, that was a great battle. We'll see you again at the Big Ten Championship. Of course, that did not work out for the Ohio State fans. Oregon, of course, happened to work out for them their big victory in the 7th over Penn State, who also got a big victory yesterday over Boise State. They knew, and even Will Howard knew, that this was not the last time that they were going to face each other back in October. And here they are at the most fabled stadium in potentially all of any athletic competition in the country. You're getting back here, and if you're Ohio State, you got to play with tempo. Fix the things that you could not do well in the first matchup or in that game against Michigan on November 30th. And we saw an Ohio State team that when they play full tilt with nothing but their hair on fire like they did against Tennessee, no team can stop them in the country. Arguably their best performance, but the same can be said for Oregon. Their best performance, either the game against the Buckeyes or that win over Penn State in the Big Ten Championship. 20
minutes away from kickoff between Ohio State and Oregon in the college football playoff quarterfinal for the Rose Bowl game, the 111th playing. Scarlet-laden Ohio State fans on the far side really rooting on Script, Ohio, a great tradition on the national stage. Now, Austin, you mentioned Ohio State's 42-17 win over 9-seed Tennessee in the first December home game in Ohio Stadium history. Oregon beat Penn State Oregon beat Penn State 45-37 to win the Big Ten Championship in Indianapolis. Now, it's been 3.5 games since the Ducks have played, 2+ since the Buckeyes have played. Does that play a factor at all in this game?
I think Coach Saban said it best on College Game Day. One of the 4 teams that are in a bye is going to come out slow. It just depends on which. Boise State, I would not say they came out slow. Their defense stopped Penn State after giving up 2 touchdowns. We've now and are currently watching Texas, Arizona State, which could very well be either over or in overtime. You and I are a little unsure. Texas did not come out slow. They scored 2 touchdowns in about 5 minutes. The only 2 teams remaining are the Oregon Ducks and then, of course, the Sugar Bowl, which has been postponed until further notice, with Georgia. So the question really is, which team is going to come out slow? And for a team like the Ducks, who fire on all cylinders with Dylan Gabriel, a guy who is third in the Heisman voting, all Big Ten first team, along with his incredible skill position guys in Holden, Tez Johnson, and, of course, Terrence Ferguson, there's going to be a lot needed to stop an offense that is so high-powered that the Ducks like to fly.
First off, we send our thoughts to the entire New Orleans community and those grieving the loss of 10+ in that tragic event overnight on Bourbon Street. We continue to think of those and the first responders and those that have been involved there down in New Orleans, and it's glad that this game has been postponed and these teams are going to play. But again, they're going to play with a little bit heavier hearts. And also, too, a note on the Texas-Arizona State game, tied at 24-all going into overtime.
Wow.
First time, Austin,
Wow.
the college football playoff in 2024 has seen a game go into overtime, let alone be a close game in the fourth quarter.
A lot of people thought that that was going to be the biggest differential in points. And statistically, if you're going off what Vegas says, we don't recommend it here. You, of course, watch the team on the field. But that was statistically the biggest point differential that was supposed to happen. Texas was assumed to win by 2 touchdowns. And when it went out to a 14-0 lead early, the question was, all right, here it is. A lot of people, of course, getting to Twitter and using their active fingers going, of course, the committee got it wrong again with these bids. And less than an hour later, maybe an hour and a half, you now see Arizona State pick on Quinn Ewers. They start marching down. They get it tied after the 2-point conversion and a rushing touchdown for Cam Scatterbo. And now who knows? And the best part about it, if you're Ohio State or Oregon, you are going to know who you're going to play by the time this game starts. And for either team, of course, the most likely opponent would probably be Arizona State. But at this point, I think it's a little bit unsure whether either side, the Bucks or the Ducks, want to face the winner of that fabled Peach Bowl.
And the winner of this game is going to have to play all 3 phases of the game well. These two teams, you can make the argument, partner, that they are 2 of the most talented teams in college football, and it's strength on strength, both sides of the football. Oregon's offense, led by 6th-year quarterback Dylan Gabriel by way of UCF in Oklahoma, makes his 63rd career start. That is an FBS record. He leads the Ducks offense, which is 14th in total offense, 13th in scoring offense, and 7th on third down with a stout offensive line. Their assignment, the #1 total defense in all of college football. Ohio State's defense, architected by Jim Knowles in his 3rd year, 242.2 yards per game. And that's not through the air, that's not on the ground, that's total.
I mean, you heard me laughing. The parity in the #1 team in the country, who's undefeated, had beat this Ohio State team earlier in the season, and then won the Big Ten championship, is tasked with what many consider to be the best team in the country outside of Oregon. And of course, we could talk to death about the automatic bids. We're not going to do that, and neither would Dan Lanning. He's been saying for weeks, we understand that if you're going to win a national championship, we have to do it on the hardest path, whether that means we face Ohio State or Tennessee before their game at the Schuh a couple of weeks ago, whether it's going to be Texas or Arizona State, or eventually one of the teams in the bottom half of the bracket like Penn State, Notre Dame, or Georgia. It's come down to a coaching battle, which many consider whoever has the most experience to be the winning coaching staff. That would be going the way of Ryan Day and his staff with Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles. That did not play out the first time, and many people said that with Dan Lanning, Will Stein, and Tosh Lapoy. But partner, this one's going to be the same, yet different. New format, new year, but the same firepower that was expected back in October.
And a game of familiarity, not just have both these teams played each other this year. Some guys know a little bit more about the opponent than others. Chip Kelly, who leads the Ohio State offense as the offensive coordinator in his first year, first off, was a head coach at UCLA in this very stadium. The Rose Bowl Stadium is also home of the UCLA Bruins football program. But before that, Chip Kelly helped Oregon to a BCS National Championship appearance in 2011. And he was the head coach for Oregon, where he led the Ducks to a 46-7 record with 3 Pac-10 and Pac-12 titles in just 4 seasons as Oregon's head coach. And that just doesn't stop with Kelly either. Running back coach for Ohio State, Carlos Lachlan, formerly with the same position for Oregon, and he also coached on the same staff with Memphis as 3rd-year Oregon head man Dan Lanning.
And you always hear and talk about, oh, these teams in the South or in the Big Ten, they're not going to switch to a West Coast style of offense that the Pac-12 and Mountain West had used for so long. Partner, that's not the same anymore. You can't say that. this Oregon team could be, if not is, the most physical team in the country. They're not afraid to get at you at multiple levels. They run a 4-2-5 defense. Sometimes they mix in a 4-3. Sometimes they only rush 3 men at the front and drop back an extra secondary. We could see so many wrinkles pulled out in this game, like we did back in October in Week 7, whether it's kicking off the midsection of Caleb Downs on the kickoff, trying to go for multiple two-point conversions, a swinging gate attempt where they actually handed it off to the quarterback and he ran up the middle. There's so many question marks to think of. And Jim Knowles had even said, we did not play our best game when we went to Autzen. They played one single high safety, man coverage the rest of the way. And for better or for worse, they got burned for it. And that's going to happen. But since that point, Jim Knowles and his secondary and his linebacker room has been the best in the country. They're not allowing much. And the biggest question today, what do they run once Dylan Gabriel starts to find Tez Johnson, Trayshawn Holden, and Evan Stewart?
Defensively for Ohio State since that Oregon game, the Buckeyes have registered 22 sacks and 44 tackles for loss. They have not allowed a passing touchdown in 7 straight games since Oregon hung almost 500 total yards against the Buckeye defense.
The biggest thing to me as well, there were 2 quarterback pressures for Ohio State, both from JTT. And then when you look at Oregon's side of things, they had a couple pressures, but their big one, it was a sack from Mateo Uyunglele, who was playing out of position. He was playing on the left edge instead of his jack position, which is a mixture of linebacker and edge rusher. Jordan Birch is back. Mateo Uyunglele is back in his natural position. This is a full-strength Oregon team. Dan Lanning said it, but the same with the Bucks. Ryan Day said we are at full strength, we're hungry, we're ready, and we're just 12 minutes away from kickoff here at the Rose Bowl.
Ryan Day said this is the healthiest, the freshest, and the hungriest team that he has had at this point of the season this year. It's been the healthiest, the freshest, and the hungriest state of the team so far. We'll pause here with 12:15 left. Pre-game here. And well, when we step aside, we'll talk to Caleb Downs, the reigning defensive back of the year in the Big Ten, and a unanimous consensus All-American, the 39th in Ohio State history. That's coming up next on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's Countdown to Kickoff. We're here with Ohio State safety Caleb Downs, the Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year, getting ready for Ohio State's battle with Oregon in the 111th Rose Bowl game from Pasadena, California. Caleb, thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Doing great. How was the holidays?
It was good. Got to see my family and everything. It was a really good situation.
And now you set your eyes onto the Rose Bowl game. A familiar venue for you. You played in the Rose Bowl game last year with Alabama. What do you remember for that, and how much does last year's result fuel you ahead of this game against the Ducks?
Get out of here. You hilarious. You hilarious. All right. I would say it's an honor to be back here just because of how prolific this game is and how the history has been about this Rose Bowl game, and it's an honor to be here. But at the end of the day, every season is a new season. We lost last year with Alabama, but at the end of the day, it's a new season, new team, so it's a different opportunity to play.
For those that have not been able to step foot on the field at the Rose Bowl Stadium, what is that feeling like?
It just feels like an honor to be here. It feels like an honor to step on that field and play. It just feels like a blessing to play the game.
How would you describe the way this season's gone for you and the team?
I feel like God has put us on the path that we need to be on. He's helped us learn the lessons that we need to learn, and just hope that we accomplish what we need to accomplish.
It will have been 10 days since you guys last played against Tennessee. Come game time, what have these last 10 days been like in practice?
It's been a normal week. Really just trying to learn as much as we can about Oregon and what they do, and trying to prepare ourselves to play the game. But it's been a normal week.
James Laurinaitis just quickly crashed. What has he been like, and what impact has he made on you?
Really just learning from him. He had a really good career here and in the league, so just learning from his perspectives and everything. And now just seeing him as a coach is a really good thing. And also he's the comedian of the staff, so just being around him is hilarious every day, and he's a really good person.
So you mentioned comedian of the staff. Who's the comedian of the defense?
The defense, this is a tough one. We talking about starters?
We could go starters, we could go bench.
Starters, maybe Jordan Hancock, comedian of the starters. I would say he's no, actually, Tyleek's actually the comedian of the defense for sure. Tyleek.
Thinking wisely there. Well, Caleb, great time getting to talk with you. Thanks again for your time, and good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Austin Crume, Connor Canfield, Connor Schuh, Tyler Danburg back with you ahead of the 111th Rose Bowl game in the college football playoff quarterfinal between the number 8 seed Ohio State Buckeyes and the top seeded Oregon Ducks from Pasadena, California. Austin, if reality hasn't set in yet, I think the B-52 bomber and the fireworks show along with the Oregon and Ohio State marching bands playing has probably made things set in a little bit easier.
Ohio State's Ted Carter, the president of the school, a former fighter in the Top Gun program, nicknamed Slapshot. He didn't get the chance to fly one of those, but that might have been about as emotional as you can see of a moment for him, for everyone in this stadium, and the game and pageantry that comes along with what goes down on this gridiron here in Pasadena.
The Rose Bowl is a bowl-shaped venue. It goes back all the way to 1903. It is steep, it's smaller, it's above ground, but it's hidden underneath the San Gabriel Mountains. But today, it is as visible to the world as it can be. Parcels of green scale from left to right below us. But then on the far side of this stadium, it is all scarlet, where Ohio State's going to enter out of the tunnel to our right. When we come back, Connor Schuh, Connor Canfield have the call of the 111th Rose Bowl game. We're 4 minutes, 15 seconds away from kick between Ohio State and Oregon. You've been listening to SGSR's Countdown to Kickoff.
What's going on, Duck fans? Welcome to Pasadena. Beautiful day in the Rose Bowl.
The granddaddy of them all. The perfect site for this much anticipated rematch between the number 8 seeded Ohio State Buckeyes, who are running onto the field at this very moment, and the number 1 national title favorite Oregon Ducks here in Pasadena, California at the Rose Bowl. Alongside on Scarlet Sports Radio, I'm Connor Canfield, joined by Connor Schuh. We've got Austin Crume and Tyler Danburg behind us. And Austin, or should I say Connor, I mean, we're amped up for this, all of us, but I don't think you could have scripted this much better in all the waves of conference realignment, how the NCAA has changed. You get a Rose Bowl matchup, not only a rematch of what was arguably the game of the year, a matchup between a traditional Big Ten power and a Pac-12 power. It doesn't get much better than this.
And it's in the spirit of how this game usually goes. Usually an East Coast and West Coast team going up against each other, and you know, probably the best near each coast here today, Connor. We saw these teams clash in an instant classic game earlier this year in which Oregon won 32-31 on that Will Howard slide at the very end, and I really think we're going to get a similar outcome in this one. These two teams have only gotten better since then, especially defensively for both squads, so this will be really, really exciting.
That was obviously what Connor referring to, the first matchup, and where Oregon put nearly 500 yards of offense on what is the nation's best offense in Ohio State statistically. Meanwhile, on the field, we have the coin toss between the two teams. And Connor, I mean, the quarterback battle. Will Howard, Dylan Gabriel, 2 transfer quarterbacks for both teams. Arguably, both of them had their best games in that first Oregon matchup.
And they're both very high-class players. Will Howard had his season high in passing yards. Dylan Gabriel had a very solid game as well. We all remember the rushing touchdown he had at a crucial moment in that game. And these are two guys who are some of the top of the pops in the Big Ten and even in the nation. Dylan Gabriel, all Big Ten. Will Howard up there as well, and incredibly efficient. 73% completion percentage for Will Howard, around the same for Dylan Gabriel. These two, the exact same. Yeah, how about that? These two are some of the most accurate veteran quarterbacks in college football right now, and I think it's only right these two get a second chance at dueling it out, and I think they play similarly as well, Connor. They're both mobile. They're both somewhat in that point guard role where they just spread the ball around to their very, very talented weapons, but also have the ability to make big plays on their own. this is going to be a very, very big storyline throughout this one, that quarterback play.
Absolutely, and it'll be Will Howard who gets it first. Oregon won the toss, they just deferred to Ohio State, and we are about ready to go here on a beautiful sunny Pasadena afternoon. About 75 degrees here, not too many clouds in the sky. I don't think the scenery gets much better for a game like this.
It really does. You have the San Gabriel Mountains in the background and trees lining the side of the stadium, and a great palette of color in the stands as well. Waves of scarlet and gray, and also the green and yellow of Oregon. You really see how these two fan bases come out to support their teams in such a classic, legendary game that has so much history, over 100 years of it actually.
Absolutely, about split down the middle between the two fan bases. Wave of scarlet behind the Ohio State sideline, and a wall of green behind the Oregon sideline. If I had to give a guess, I'd say at most, maybe the advantage would go to the Ducks fans, about 55-45, but it's just about as down the middle as you can get here in this one.
It's incredible. You've got all the Ohio State fans behind the Ohio State bench and the Oregon contingent behind their own. It's just beautiful.
Atticus Sappington, the Oregon State Chancellor, puts the ball on the tee, runs up to it, and the 111th edition of this great Rose Bowl game has gotten underway in this college football playoff quarterfinal, also underway from Oregon, or should I say Pasadena. And here comes Will Howard, the graduate out of Downingtown, Pennsylvania. 73%, tied for second in the country of Dylan Gabriel, 3,171 yards, 29 touchdowns, 8 picks. Connor, he's coming off an amazing game against Tennessee, over 300 yards of offense in that one for Howard.
And only 5 incompletions for Will Howard, over an 80% completion percentage. Had potentially his second best game of the year, save for the Oregon one earlier on, and they just torched a really talented Vols defense.
Howard out there, bunch formation right side. Sidecar is G. Scott Jr. who motions out to the right. It'll be a fake bubble screen outside. Howard lofting it towards the sideline. Wide open receiver down to the 40, 50. It's G. Scott Jr. high stepping across the 45 of the Ducks. And a big chuck play for the Buckeyes to start. About a 30-yard gain there for the Buckeyes.
Great play design by Chip Kelly, getting G. Scott Jr. out in motion. He's a solid athlete at tight end. He used the 2 receiver set on that side to clear out the DBs, and he had a lot of real estate down that right sideline.
There's a gain of 30 for the Buckeyes. You mentioned Chip Kelly, former Oregon head coach. Lots of connections in this game that we'll get onto as time goes on. I'll say on the Oregon 45 on that right hash. Howard back there with a sidecar. That looks to be Quinshon Judkins on his left hip. 3 receivers out to the near side. Howard, play fake, rolling to the left side, firing far sideline. And it was shot over the head of Jeremiah Smith. Jabbar Muhammad there in coverage for the Ducks.
Howard kind of skied that ball, Connor, and Jabbar Muhammad was all over it as well. An all Big Ten caliber cornerback all over the #1 receiver for Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith. What a fun matchup that is.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith last week, a couple of touchdowns, his 4th 100-yard game of the season. He was certainly the big part of that Ohio State offense and that route over Tennessee back in Columbus. 2nd and 10 for Ohio State, still on the Oregon 45. Howard taking the snap, play fake once again, fires it off in the flat. There's Jeremiah Smith, 35-30, breaks through 1 tackle, and he gets through. He will walk into the end zone. Touchdown Buckeyes as Jeremiah Smith waltzes in, and what a start for the Buckeyes.
You couldn't have scripted that any better for Ohio State. You get your best weapon wide open in the flat, and when a guy like Jeremiah Smith has green grass in front of him, it's scary if you're the opponent, and all they could try to do was a couple of arm tackles there through that left side, but there was nothing to do with the very ultra-talented Jeremiah Smith.
Jaden fielding on to attempt the extra point with Joe McGuire planted down on his knee at about the 11 of Oregon. John Furman, the long snapper, snaps it back to McGuire, and the kick is up and good. And all it took was 3 plays, 75 yards, and 1 minute of play for the Buckeyes to get on the board. 7-0 thanks to a Jeremiah Smith 45-yard touchdown, his 3rd touchdown of this college football playoff.
It's incredible. He had such a good game against Tennessee and is carrying that momentum here against Oregon. And you can feel it with the way these Buckeyes are playing. They are just feeling not unstoppable, Can't say that, but as close as you can possibly get without getting there. But Oregon, they're a little rusty. Haven't played in a long time, but Ohio State only a couple of weeks ago against Tennessee, and here you are at the Rose Bowl crushing on the first drive.
You can't script a much better start, but now it's a question of how does Oregon respond here in this one. Fielding with his teammate swinging his arms from right to left. Will drive that ball down the field. It'll be fielded and rolling out of the back of the end zone for a touchback to the Ducks, and Dylan Gabriel will get it on the 25-yard line. And Connor, what a season Dylan Gabriel is having. 73.1%, 3,558 yards, 28 touchdowns for the Hawaii native.
He's been incredible this year, Connor. Just as solid as they come, a pro in the sense of how accurate he is. He's an incredible decision maker. The arm leaves a little bit to be desired, but he can get it done.
Gabriel's in the pistol formation. He'll turn and give to his tailback. And Ohio State with a nice tackle. Cody Simon out on the edge as Jordan James couldn't turn the corner that time on the Buckeye defense.
He's become such a big leader. Cody Simon's wearing that block O, which goes to one of the biggest leaders on the team every year. And at that linebacker spot, he leads the team in tackles and has been flying around the field. Had such a nice game against Tennessee.
The loss of 1, 9.5 tackles for loss for the grad linebacker for the Buckeyes. Gabriel taking the snap, firing out on the numbers left side, and it's juggled and caught on the outside for a gain of 3 out there. That was nearly dropped by the wideout, Tez Johnson, who leads the Ducks in receptions and yards this season.
He came in a couple of years ago from Troy, and no one really knew about him except for Bo Nix, who apparently was very close with him and knew the talent he was, and found a way to get him over here with Dan Lanning and company, and here he is.
Well, Nix had the eye, and he has crushed it as a Duck so far. Gabriel on the empty set takes the snap. 3rd and 10. Pressure, dropping one out flat for James. He's darting forward. He will be short of the first down marker as Jordan Hancock and Jack Sawyer combine on the tackle, and it'll be 4th and 1 for Oregon, and they will send out the punt unit. And so the Ducks, after the big drive for the Buckeyes, they'll go 3 and out in response.
I got to say it again, Connor. Momentum is a real thing. Ohio State, they went out there and they crushed one of the best teams in the SEC, 42-17. Now they're facing off against what some say is one of the best teams in the nation, and they are cruising early.
Ross James, junior punter out of Brandon, Mississippi, will be standing at the 20 of the Ducks. Brandon Innes back there to receive for Ohio State. Line drive kick, fair caught at the 22-yard line of Ohio State by Innes. And Ohio State will get it out for their second drive as Brandon Innes talking to some Ducks after that. And we'll take a break here on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. 12:10 left to go in the first quarter. Buckeyes out and in front, 7-0.
This year, we recognize 6 outstanding individuals.
Ohio State about ready to come up for their second drive here of a 7-0 lead over Oregon here in the Rose Bowl. Connor Canfield, Connor Schuh here with you. And Connor, you're seeing something that a lot of people have discussed about coming into this game. These teams who get the first round bye, they're sitting on the couch for about a month here after their last game of the season. You see Oregon, they let up a 3-play, 75-yard drive to start, and then they go 3 and out. You look at Arizona State, they were down by 14 in that fourth quarter. They obviously came back, forced overtime, but just lost in double overtime, which the winner of this game will get. So you see these, so far, these two guys who have been sitting out there, Boise State as well, they started out slow. That's going to be something interesting to watch as we get throughout this game.
It certainly is, and you can see that rust with ASU. Like you said, they really put up an incredible fight against a strong, stout Texas team, and you could say the same with Boise State at some points against Penn State, but all throughout this time, it's been the team that got that first round rep that's really come out and just impressed, and you see it with Ohio State right here like you've just talked about. They have come out guns blazing, and you can see how locked in they've been all week. We've seen them in the media, and it's incredible to see the mindset of these guys off of just a devastating loss against Oregon, and then later in the season, of course, we all know about the Michigan loss in their rivalry matchup there in the final regular season game. Came down 13-10, couldn't get it done, and they have responded in a way that only the best can really do.
It'll be interesting to watch the chunk play battle. Oregon was the one who was really gashing Ohio State on defense in that first matchup against Eugene. Ohio State, 30-yard completion, 45-yard completion to power that last drive. So it'll be one to look out for as we go on throughout the game. Ohio State will start at their own 21-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Buckeyes here. 14-10 left to go. Howard taking the snap, surveying, launching it down the right sideline. Double coverage. Jeremiah Smith went up and got it across the 50-yard line. And man, we are not even 2 minutes into this game, and Jeremiah Smith is near the 100-yard mark.
That's incredible. You saw the cornerback on the far side of the field. I think it was Nico Reed. He started to drop back when he saw Jeremiah Smith get over the top of the defense, and the man guarding him was there as well. He was covered entirely, and then Jeremiah Smith just rises over the top of both. Michael Jordan-esque and made the catch.
A 30-yard completion for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and Smith is now up to 75. First handoff of the game for the Buckeyes. It's Quinshon Judkins who stutters his way and is tackled at about the line of scrimmage for a gain of 1. I think it was Bryce Betcher, the Burlsworth Trophy winner, in there on the stop for Oregon.
Betcher, also the center fielder on the Oregon baseball team. 10-plus homers this year with them, and he's a guy with real pop, and that's probably his calling.
Solid two-way athlete, former walk-on here on the football team. Howard, 2nd and 9 for Ohio State, taking the snap, dropping, firing inside the numbers, and it'll be across the 40-yard line, down near the 35. It's Jeremiah Smith once again. The Buckeyes will move the chains.
They're just targeting their best guy the whole way here. Jeremiah Smith racking up early yards, and Brandon Johnson was there for the tackle, but not before he was able to get all the way up for that first down, and I think that's really the key here for Oregon. They have to find a way to neutralize the freshman sensation.
Ohio State's moved it down to the Oregon 36. 10.5 minutes left to go in this first quarter. 7-0 Ohio State. Ball's on the 36 of Oregon. Howard fakes the handoff, looking over the middle, will fire it up the seam. He was looking for Carnell Tate on a crosser, but Howard overshot him.
He had some room, beat his man towards the middle of the field, but Howard sailed the ball, and you can take that with the way you've been moving the ball, afford an incompletion here and there, but just to get back to Jeremiah Smith for one more second, he's already up to 86 yards.
What a start for the freshman sensation. Kobe Savage was in coverage there on Carnell Tate, Kansas State transfer there for the Ducks. 2nd and 10 from the Oregon 36-yard line once again. Travion Henderson making his first appearance in the game. He'll get the play fake. Howard dropping back, steps up in the pocket if he's pressured, and down he goes. It'll be a gain of, or should I say, a loss of 1. And it's Jordan Birch there on the stop, a sensational defensive end.
And Birch wasn't there in that first matchup against Ohio State. He was out with an injury, and we saw the way Mateo Uiagalelei played in his place. He was great, but Jordan Birch is a game changer at the end position. 8.5 sacks for him this year.
3rd and 10 Ohio State. Still got it on that 36 of Oregon. Ball moves to the left hash of that play. Howard in the shotgun. 3 receivers out to the far side. He takes a snap, stepping up in the pocket, and he will get it away to Henderson. It just falls in front of his feet. He was almost sacked that time by Birch once again. Now Connor, 4th and 10 for Ohio State. Ball's on that 36. I don't think they're going to send the field goal unit out.
Yeah, a little bit out of Jaden Fielding's range. He hasn't had the chance to even try a 50-yarder this year. He's been solid between 40 and 49, hitting 5 of 6 of those. But Joe McGuire, the punter, is out there. But man, Jordan Birch, what a play. Pumped his chest after it. You can tell he's happy to finally face this team.
That's a big stop there for Oregon. They bent but didn't break. They'll get off the field. McGuire standing at that Rose Bowl logo at midfield. Go on the left hash. John Furlman, Arizona State product, will send it back to him. McGuire, short kick. He'll drop at the 5-yard line and run back into the end zone. Lorenzo Stiles was there, but it took a right turn on him, and he couldn't keep it out of the end zone. And Oregon will get the ball on the 20 when we return from a timeout. Still 7-0, Ohio State leading here with 9:27 left to go in this first quarter. Seven nothing still here with about 9:47 left to go in this first quarter here on Scarlet Gray Sports Radio, the official student radio home of Ohio State Athletics. Connor Canfield, Connor Schuh here with you. And Connor, how important was that stop there for Oregon? You know, you give up that first big drive to Ohio State, go 3 and out, and it looked like Ohio State was about to march right back down the field, but they were able to get off the field, bend but didn't break, and keep the one-score game.
It was really big for this first quarter. Ohio State was getting whatever they wanted on that first drive and the first play. That second drive, but Oregon did what they needed to do, and that was create pressure on Will Howard. He's had the most trouble this year when he's had to make quick decisions, and that was exactly what we saw there, a pair of incompletions, and he tried to escape up the middle with the other time and got stopped by Jordan Birch, who had himself quite the drive.
It'll be interesting to see how that Oregon D-line works against that Ohio State offensive line, which is incredibly banged up. Oregon will get it at their own 20-yard line. Dylan Gabriel and the shotgun with Jordan James as tailback. 3 receivers out to the near side. James motions out of the backfield to the right side. Swing pass out to him. He bobbles it at the 15, darting back towards the 20-yard line. He gained about 2. Cody Simon, the linebacker for the Buckeyes, will get out there and get him.
That pass could have easily been broken up too, but Dylan Gabriel put the right amount of zip on that to manage to create a positive play, and now you're playing with a little bit more leverage here.
They gain it 2. Ducks will go empty set here on the 22-yard line. Ball's on that right hash. James will come out from the right side, now sit on the left hip there of Gabriel. Play fake to him. Gabriel dropping back, looking over the middle, floats it up, might have been tipped at the line. And it'll be batted down. Caleb Downs was there in coverage on the tight end. Patrick Herbert that time for the Ducks.
And JT Tuimoloau got there with the pressure, was able to bat that one away, and him and Jack Sawyer are going to be tough to stop on the ends for these tackles for Oregon. Both very solid. Johnny Cornelius and Josh Connerly Jr., both all Big Ten players, but so are Sawyer and Tui Maloau.
Gabriel in the empty set, 3rd and 8 here with 8:50 left to go in this first quarter. Receivers out near side, 3 up to the top side of the formation. Gabriel looking towards the sideline, now will take the snap. Dropping back on that right hash, firing over the middle. Ball is maybe intercepted, and it's going to be incomplete. 2 Buckeyes looked like they almost collided. It was Jordan Hancock and Caleb Downs who were trying to pick that ball off.
That looked like it was almost right into the hands of Caleb Downs, and Hancock almost got a hand on it, like you said, but there's that Ohio State D-line getting pressure again, this time with a package of Kenyatta Jackson on the left, Caden Curry on the right, and then Ty Hamilton up the middle. They did a great job of forcing that throw to happen.
Ross James will be out the punt for the second time, and I think Connor Hancock had that in his hands, and it was broken up by Caleb Downs, who will go down to take the punt. James, Mississippi native, low line drive punt. It'll bounce at the 45 of Ohio State and take a friendly Buckeye bounce out to the 46-yard line. Short punt there for James. The Buckeyes will get it in prime field position here with a timeout on the field. Still 7-0 here from the Rose Bowl. 8:36 left to go in this first quarter. Back here on Scarlet Gray Sports Radio from the beautiful Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. 7-0 Ohio State, 8:36 left to go in this first quarter. Connor Canfield, Connor Schuh here with you. And Connor, I mean, you can't really ask for a better start for Ohio State. They get Oregon off the field in their first 2 drives. That last drive did sputter for the Buckeyes, but they scored quickly on that first drive. But I think really the difference there in that second drive for Ohio State, Oregon and Jordan Birch in particular, was able to pressure Howard, and that's going to be such a big part for not only Oregon, but Ohio State to get to the quarterback here in this one.
And especially on that right side for Jordan Birch, Josh Fryer was having some trouble with him, and you don't really want to double team him, especially with Tegra Shabola there. He's going to have his hands full with the defensive tackles as well. You have some real guys right there, especially Derek Harmon, the Michigan State transfer. You can't take any chances with him on the interior as well, so it's going to be Fryer on an island pretty often.
And how about the start to Jeremiah Smith as well? 3 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown through 7.5 minutes of play. Off to a, you could say, historic pace to start this one early. Oregon fans getting loud after their players waving the arms. Howard taking the snap, surveying, fires right side, high pass, grabbed down by Emeka Ibuka at the 44-yard line of Oregon. Nice catch there by the Buckeye grad receiver.
High pointed that ball. It was way out of his reach, it looked like initially, but great acrobatic play.
Howard quickly will take the snap, giving off Travion Henderson, darting towards the left side. Now will cut up north-south, and he'll lower his shoulder across the first down marker and will get it by a yard.
Ran right into a gang of Ducks right there and was able to use that low center of gravity of his to push for a couple extra yards. He's known a lot for his speed, but Travion Henderson, you cannot knock the strength he has.
Buckeyes with 7:50 left to go have the ball in Oregon territory for their third consecutive drive. Henderson's still back there. He's attached to the left hip of Howard, who will play fake it to him. Looking, firing, middle. He's got a man with a step. It's a Buka, juggled, and he got it. Touchdown, Buckeyes! As he got a step on Tysheen Johnson, the Duck safety, and it looked like he didn't have it, but then he grabbed it at the last second, and Ohio State out to a 13-0 lead about halfway through this first quarter.
What a throw. What a catch. Will Howard going over the middle of the field, two defenders again, and is able to drop it right in the bucket for his veteran, Emeka Egbuka, who's chasing records himself. Third in all-time receptions at Ohio State. Able to haul that one, and even with some heavy pressure from those DBs.
Jaden Fielding out to attempt a second extra point, and he drives it through. 14-0 Ohio State with 7:31 left to go. Ohio State now, Connor, has outscored opponents 35-0 here through a quarter and a half here in this college football playoff in the first frame. I mean, just the starts, you cannot overstate how important that is for Ohio State.
Getting out early, like you said, Connor, it's really been the X factor. We saw it against Tennessee, and we see it right now against Oregon. They've struck while the iron is hot, and the big thing that sticks out to me here is the confidence that Will Howard is playing with. He had Jordan Birch bearing down on him again from the right side on that touchdown pass, and he was able to stand there and take some contact and deliver a beautiful ball over the middle. This team is playing with its hair on fire, and they have one goal.
What a catch there for Egbuka. He had Tysheen Johnson and the nickelback Brandon Johnson getting a hand in there. Brandon Johnson knocked it away, but then Egbuka caught it just before it hit the ground. It gives the Buckeyes a 14-0 lead. Fielding will drive it through the end zone once again. That ball didn't even hit the end line. It almost went into the stands. And Oregon will get it out on the 25, looking to get something going. 2 drives, 2 3-and-outs.
I think on this drive, you don't 100% need points to win this one, but to really have a chance to come out of even the first half, even though we're not even halfway through the first quarter right now. It's weird to think that far down the line here, but I think Oregon has to find a way to score, at least get a field goal so you can keep this one within reach early.
Ohio State 170 yards on offense, Oregon 11. Gabriel taking the snap, faking the handoff, will go end around now, and Ohio State sniffed it out well. Loss of 2, Sonny Styles, Denzel Burke, and Oregon tried to go with some trickery to Tez Johnson. Ohio State sniffed it right out.
And Denzel Burke had what some would say was one of his worst games against Oregon, and you see how he's playing in this first game. Just like a heat-seeking missile, lowering that right shoulder and knocking down Oregon's best receiver.
2nd and 11 for the Ducks. Along the 24-yard line, Gabriel, quick play fake. Johnson on the outside, near side sideline, run out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Styles, Igbinosun, and Lathan Ransom all combined on that one. And another 3rd down and long here for Oregon.
And you can see the real focus right now for Will Stein, the OC in Oregon, has been to get the ball to Tez Johnson in space and let him work. And so far, that hasn't been the most fruitful. Just not a lot of production on these short end arounds and quick outs.
Empty set once again for the Ducks on 3rd and 7. Bunch formation left side. Now 2 tight ends will motion tight to the line on the other side. Gabriel taking the snap. Deep drop back, stepping up the pocket, firing flat. He's got a man, and it's across the first down. And a first down for the Buckeyes. Terrence Ferguson there on the reception, or should I say first down Ducks, and a much needed first down.
Terrence Ferguson, the big tight end, the first time they've gone to him today, Connor, and he's been a real solid player for the Ducks throughout his career. One of the better tight ends in their history statistically.
Yeah, he holds the program record for most receptions, now up to 130, and 16 career touchdowns is also the record there for Oregon. So a record-setting tight end and a much-needed first down for Oregon. Gabriel handing off left side. James jitterbugging his way. And a big jump play. Now the Ducks trying to get something going. Gain of 11 there for Jordan James. And Oregon have 2 first downs in a row.
Now we see Oregon trying to get the ball out of the trenches and do what they do best. And I think both of these teams are best on the outside of the field towards the numbers. You saw it right there with that nice stretch play for Jordan James.
Gabriel quickly getting his team down to the line. Fakes the give to James. Looking sideline for Tez Johnson. He gets past, batted up in the air, and incomplete. It looks like it was Davis and Igbinosun there in coverage. He got the pass deflection away, and Oregon tried to take the home run shot that time. The former Ole Miss Rebel Igbinosun was there to say no.
Good discipline by him, too. He's had a lot of trouble with pass interference calls and overall physicality, and you want that out of your cornerbacks to try and rattle the receiver you're guarding, but not too much, and he did just enough there to get that ball out of harm's way for Ohio State and create an incompletion of the first deep shot we've seen for the Ducks.
Oregon's got it on their own 47-yard line. 2nd and 10 for the Ducks on the left hash. Gabriel will give to James, surveying, and he's not going anywhere. Try to dart across the line. Kenyatta Jackson there to slam him down alongside Ty Hamilton.
And you can see they're getting so much push on the interior whenever Oregon tries to make plays between the tackles. It hasn't really worked out. Small loss there for Jordan James, but if you're the Ducks, you can't let those stack up.
Buckeyes will sub out Jack Sawyer, Hero Kanu into the game for Ohio State after the loss of 2. 4:40 left to go here on this 3rd and 12 for the Ducks. Buckeyes leading 14-0 here from Pasadena. Shotgun formation for Gabriel and the Ducks. He's got James stitched onto his left hip. 2 receivers either side of the formation. Gabriel taking the snap, firing out near sideline. He's got a receiver across the 50 and run out of bounds before the 45-yard line. As Trayshawn Holden there on the reception. Won't get enough. 4th and about medium coming out. It'll be 4th and 6 officially.
Found him on the near sideline, and that throw was a little bit too tight to the sideline to look like he was kind of wobbling out of bounds at first, and was able to get a couple extra before he finally fell out of bounds, and you see him on the Jumbotron taking off his helmet looking rather dismayed, and after he only had 1 catch against Ohio State in the first matchup, I can imagine he feels that way.
Ross James out for his 3rd punt of the day. There's another low liner. Innes is back there for Ohio State. It will bounce at the 10 and then scoot out of bounds on the near side to the 8-yard line. Good punt for James, puts the Buckeyes inside the 10, and they'll have to go pretty much the length of the field here to extend their lead. Timeout on the field here from the Rose Bowl. 14-0 Ohio State with the lead here late in the first. left to go here in the first quarter on Scarlet Gray Sports Radio in this 2025 Rose Bowl game, home of the college football playoff quarterfinal. Connor Canfield, Connor Schuh here with you. And Connor, I mean, what a start for Ohio State, outgaining the Ducks 170-37 on offense. 165 of that has come through the air for Will Howard, who is 6 of 9 for a $165 and 2 touchdowns. 294 passer rating so far from the K-State transfer.
It's incredible, and we've said it earlier, but there's really shades of that first-round college football playoff matchup between Ohio State and Tennessee in this one, where a lot of people thought that was going to be a very close game, especially early on, and it was going to be a dogfight the whole way, but Ohio State came in and just smacked them in the face, and Tennessee couldn't really come back, but the difference was they had the freshman quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, in Oregon, headed by the two-time transfer, fifth-year signal caller, Dylan Gabriel, after his stops at UCF and Oklahoma, but his first time in the college football playoff, he's been a little bit rattled.
A good punt there for Oregon puts Ohio State inside their 10. They got the ball on their own 9-yard line here. Have to drive 91 yards to put this ball in the end zone. Pitch left side, Quinshon Judkins cuts through some defenders across the 10-yard line before he is dropped down short of the 15.
Kobe Savage on defense for the Ducks.
Kobe Savage making the tackle there for Oregon, and a gain of 5 there for Judkins.
Heck, speaking of multiple-time transfers, Kobe Savage is there. He came from K-State. He played with Will Howard, but before that, he spent some time at Tyler Community College in Texas and Texas A&M Commerce.
So that's an interesting matchup. They both, Howard and Savage, both know how each other have played, going up against each other in practice. So interesting to see how that plays off. Another hand up the middle to Judkins. He was planted right down. Looked like it was Jamari Caldwell and Derek Harmon to plant him into the ground. No gain.
That was authoritative, to say the least, from the D-tackle combination there. Just totally dropped in. Those guys are great athletes for being over 300 pounds. They move very nimbly.
Derek Harmon was a freshman All-American of Michigan State for a reason. He got to Judkins in a hurry. 2 minutes, 35 seconds, 3rd and 4 for Ohio State, deep in their own territory. Howard getting the snap, wafting it sideline, looking for Smith. He's got it across the 45-yard line. As Jeremiah Smith with a diving grab past the defensive back of Dante Manning. And Connor, you can't say how good of a start this is for the freshman phenom.
Almost no words for it. Will Howard was looking his way the whole time.
He'll give it right back up the middle. Buckeyes with some pace. Pile is stopped across the 50-yard line as Quinshon Judkins was stonewalled at the Oregon 48-yard line.
But back to that last play, Jeremiah Smith, a little bit of hand fighting. They let him and Dante Manning go at it, no call either way. And he was just able to get that final bit of separation and dive to the ground and make the catch. When he gets the NFL in 3 years, you can only imagine how good he's going to be.
You could argue he could go number 1 right now. That was a 32-yard gain to set up that short run of 4 for the Buckeyes. Howard play fake, looking out in the flat. He's looking for Smith, who can't pull it down with one hand as Howard led him a little too far. 3rd and 6 coming up after the incompletion there for Ohio State.
Yeah, there have been some moments where Will Howard's accuracy has been questioned a little bit, and we see it right there, leading Jeremiah Smith a little too much. The ball earlier that was a little high for Emeka Egbuka, but he's solid enough to make enough of these throws and give his receivers a chance.
It was Brandon Johnson, the nickelback in coverage, which Smith had a step on. Now a big 3rd down for Ohio State. Minute 36, 3rd and 6 in the Oregon 49-yard line. Trayvon Henderson's back there in the shotgun with Howard. He'll take the low snap, dropping back, looking over the middle. Emeka Egbuka down to the 40, across the 45, getting away from one tackler, where he's hit down to the 32-yard line of Oregon by Tysheem Johnson. Honorable mention, all Big Ten recipient this year. Buckeyes move the chain. It's been the Emeka Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith show so far.
And the thing about Emeka Egbuka, you can say this for Smith as well, but he's so well-rounded. Maybe the best part of his game is his ability to run after the catch. He's up to 64 yards today, and of course that long touchdown. But he can just do a little bit of everything. He was able to shake off a couple of defenders and earn himself a first.
7 receptions, 182 yards between Smith and Egbuka so far in this first quarter. Howard in the shotgun, got a receiver motioning into the inside. Read option kept by Howard. He'll slither his way back to the line of scrimmage before he is wrapped up and thrown down by Jeffrey Bassa. there for the Ducks. Ohio State, they brought the motioner inside. Carnell Tate, Howard kept it. The Ducks were able to sniff it out.
Bossa, the converted safety, an Oregon Duck veteran, has been a big part of the back line and now front seven of this defense, and is very athletic and just a quick player at his position.
Mateo Uli Angagale also in there on the stop. 20 seconds left in this first quarter. Here in this 14-0 Ohio State lead, Buckeyes will have to snap at 5 on the play clock. As Howard will give on the outside handoff, Quinshad Junkins down to the 35, hit at the 30, bounces off of one tackler down to the 27-yard line. As Brandon Johnson, nickelback, will get him. He'll give the Buckeyes about 6 yards there. And time will expire here on this first quarter. And Ryan Day will have a little time to ponder what he wants to do when we return, but much to the jubilation of this Ohio State crowd, Ohio State dominates the first quarter, 14-0. And we will take a step aside on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. Ohio State up and in front, 14-0 here from Pasadena.
Support the nonprofits VetTix. The first takes have given away tens of millions of tickets in counting.
14-0 is your score. Ohio State over Oregon in the Rose Bowl here in Pasadena, California. Connor Canfield is to my right, and I'm Connor Schuh here with you on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. At the start of the second quarter here, 15 minutes on the clock. And the Buckeyes have the ball now, moving left to right. And the story here so far has been the Buckeye receivers, Connor, Jeremiah Smith, 4 grabs, 118 yards, 1 touchdown. Mecca Buka, 3 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. The only other player to record a reception is G. Scott, who had a 30-yard catch to start off this game, but they have just been something else.
I mean, the chunk play has been huge. What a start for the receiving corps. We look at each of their longs. 45 for Smith, 42 for Abuka, 30 for G. Scott. All those completions have been huge completions. And what a flip of the script from this first game where it was Oregon getting those big plays. And it was all Ohio State in that first quarter. Oregon, the only time they made it a fight was that last drive. They got 2 first downs and they had to punt it away again. I mean, the Ducks need an answer, and they need it fast.
Buckeyes on the Ducks' 28-yard line at the far hash line, moving left to right. Will Howard in the shotgun. Tragon Henderson to his right. Takes the snap, drops back, looks right, fires right, incomplete at the feet of Jeremiah Smith, just about 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, and Jabbar Muhammad. Great play, and he is ecstatic after the breakup. Yeah, that's a good play by Muhammad. If Smith is able to grab that by the tip of his fingers, he might be able to turn the corner into the end zone. But Muhammad was able to knock it away, and Jaden Fielding will be on to attempt a long field goal here. Of course, that was 3rd down, so Jaden Fielding to boot this one from roughly 46 yards, 5 for 6 on 40 to 49-yard field goals this year. Furlman snaps, McGuire holds. Kick is up, it's got the distance, and it's through. Jaden Fielding puts the Buckeyes up 17-0, opening up quarter number 2 of action, and Oregon's going to get the ball after this, but now it's a 3-score game. Things are looking dire, and it's a real reminder of the Tennessee game, Connor.
Yeah, I don't think people have a lot of understanding there of how important that was. Not only for Ohio State, you extend their lead to 3 scores, but for Jaden Fielding. Obviously, everyone talked about that Michigan game. He missed 2 kicks. They lost by 6. Now, of course, he was not the only reason why they lost that game, but obviously, just mentally, that's got to be tough on a kicker. You come out, only get 1 field goal attempt, which was a 56-yard prayer there in that Tennessee game at the end of the first half. You come out in the Rose Bowl, college football playoff quarterfinal, 46 yards, no easy field goal by any means, and he coolly drives us through. That's huge for the mental state.
Jaden Fielding's back on the field with the special team unit of Ohio State to drive the kickoff away from the far hash line. Noah Whittington, the backup running back on the left side, ready to return this kick. Fielding jogs up and swings the leg through, ball traveling end over end high and through the back of the Ohio State end zone with the Scarlet painting. And now Oregon's going to have the ball their own 25-yard line. They're going to need an answer from Dylan Gabriel.
Absolutely. 3 drives, 3 punts so far for the Ducks. Still a lot of time left to be played, Connor, but I think you have it perfectly. They need a response, and this is where you have to lean on your veteran quarterback.
A lot of short completions for Dylan Gabriel, 30 yards on 6 of 9 completions, only his largest. A 17-yard throw. He's in the pistol formation, right in the middle of the field. Claps takes the snap, hands it off to his back. Jordan James running right up the middle and met in the gap by Lathan Ransom, coming down and delivering the boom.
He was shot out of a cannon. Great play recognition from his safety spot, and he went downhill, didn't have any hesitation, and was able to stonewall James that time after a gain of 3.
2nd and 7, 14:29 on the ticking clock. Gabriel claps once in the shotgun. James to his left. He comes back up to his center for a quick check with the offensive line. Iapani Lalou. Jordan James went over to the right side but comes back to the left. Takes the snap, handoff. James running left, navigates through tacklers, and now a gang of white jerseys still up. But they call the play dead. He didn't end up going down, but there was a massive bodies right there, and he might have only gained 1.
Yeah, Ohio State took his outside that time. A little pitch play to the left side, and they were able to play the outside contain and force him to go upfield where all the linebackers were for Ohio State. Cody Simon leading the charge in there. Now another big 3rd down coming up for the Ducks.
3rd and 6, it's 17-0 Ohio State. Oregon's got the ball. 13:37 to go and counting on the 29-yard line of Oregon. Gabriel takes the snap, deep drop, firing off to the left side. It's low, but Trayshawn Holden dives to snag it. He's touched down by Lathan Ransom at the 40-yard line.
Yeah, good protection that time. Gave Gabriel the time he needed, and Oregon ran the crosser that time of Holden. He was just able to get past. Looked like Lathan Ransom picked him up in coverage. And a massive completion there for the Ducks.
1st and 10 at their own 41 for the Ducks. Gabriel claps, fakes the handoff, or does give it off to James, who runs on the stretch to the right side, up about 2 yards and tackled by Caleb Downs.
Yeah, Downs, great play recognition from up there. He's so versatile. He can play up high as a safety, and he can really be a box linebacker as well. He was just able to shoot downhill and stop James after a short gain.
2nd and 8, 12:43 and counting. Buckeyes with a 4-man front. Gabriel on the far side of the field standing at the hash line. James to his left, takes the snap, fakes the, hands it off, runs up to the right side, tackled down by Tyleek Williams. No gain on the play.
Yeah, Oregon tried a little misdirection there. Motion the receiver out to the left side, then end up giving it to James, and Tyleek Williams, great block shed on the inside. Was able to wrap him up for no gain.
A lot of misdirection in this Will Stein offense. Noah Whittington, the change of pace back comes in. He's out wide on the right side with Terrence Ferguson. 3 receivers out wide to the left, empty set for Gabriel at the 43, 3rd and 8. Whittington motions into the backfield to Gabriel's right. He's standing in the shotgun, making some checks with his line. Hands are up in the air. He claps, takes the snap, drops back, fires to his left. It's Hez Johnson, who's leveled in the air by Sonny Styles and Jordan Hancock. It's about a gain of 5. He won't get there. It's 4th and 3.
And now it's 4th and 3, like you said. Oregon's on the 48-yard line in their own territory. It's 4th and short. You're down 17. It feels like you got to keep the offense out here. This is a play where you're still early in the second quarter. If you give it back to Ohio State in Oregon territory, that could be disastrous.
Ball spotted between the hashes at the Rose in the middle of the field. 48-yard line of Oregon. 4th and 3. Gabriel alone in the backfield. There's a call, a timeout over on the Ohio State side. Ryan Day icing the Ducks.
Yeah, he was able to go out, see what Oregon formation they were in, and elected to take that time out. So give yourself a look at what they're in. Hopefully a chance, if you're Ohio State, hopefully a chance to prepare, but you got to imagine Oregon's going to come right back out. That might change the look at you.
We'll find out after a quick break. We'll take a timeout with the teams on the field. It's 17-0, Ohio State with the lead early in the granddaddy of them all. 11-13 to go in the second.
From the original 4-team to its current 12-team playoff format. In addition,
to get back and make some noise!
17-0 is your score with 11-16 to go here at the Rose Bowl. Connor Canfield standing to my right. I'm Connor Schuh here on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. And it's 4th and 3 for Oregon at their own 48 as we sit in a timeout called by Ryan Day. Do you think they bring the offense back out?
I think you have to. You came out there. This is potentially your last chance to make these kinds of decisions this season. You got to play to win the game, and down 3 scores early, I feel like in this 4th and short situation, you got to come back out here and go for it and put trust in your offense, which is indeed what they will do.
So they bring him back out there. Buckeyes bring out Edric Houston, the freshman D lineman, in the spot of Tyleek Williams. Interesting play there.
They've been rotating in and out. I saw Mitchell Melton get a few snaps to start this drive. Hero Kanu came in on a 3rd down. So Ohio State's really been working the defensive line in and out, probably trying to keep their linemen fresh because you're going to need the pass rush late in this game.
And that's why it's interesting in a positive way for Ohio State. Gabriel in the shotgun. 2 receivers on each side. Has Whittington sidecar to his right. Makes 1 clap. Has a receiver in motion. It's Hez Johnson. Gabriel takes the snap, looks left, deep drop, pressure in his face, throws it batted away by Cody Simon, and the Ducks can't convert.
And Simon had that in his hands. He had the interception there, but it's no matter for Ohio State. Get off the field. They're on 4th down. They are fired up. And another empty drive for Oregon. 0 for 4 to start. Could you have imagined how this game would have been set up to start this game about 3 hours ago? I mean, what a start for Ohio State. They can't really do anything wrong at this point.
They have played nearly a perfect game. 11-11 to go in quarter number 2. 17-zip Buckeyes, and they get the ball back with positive field position. Almost right at the middle, though. At Oregon's 48, Will Howard will start in an empty set. 3 receivers to the right, 2 to the left. Judkins motions into the backfield. Kazmarek and Christian in line now. Agbuka motions in line as well. Lone receiver out to the left is Smith Judkins gets the carry and moves up to the right side. He's tackled down by Bryce Betcher.
Yeah, Judkins, look for Ohio State to really start to get him going, get Henderson going. The pass attack has been worked. Gotta imagine Oregon is going to start to defend that pass, which you gotta imagine is going to open up for this two-headed monster in the backfield for Ohio State.
It's a 5-yard carry for the Ole Miss transfer. Not a lot of running going on for Ohio State today. 2nd and 5, 10:40 and counting. Howard just inside the right hash line. Igbuka in motion. Takes the snap, fakes the handoff to Judkins, rolls left, steps back, deep fire, wide open. Jeremiah Smith into the end zone. That's 2 today for the freshman. Touchdown.
And Jeremiah Smith etching his name in Rose Bowl lore. I mean, are you kidding me? There was no one within 5 steps of him. He has just been on a tear today. And the Buckeyes just keep the train rolling here in this first half.
And your score is 23-0. Unbelievable. A phrase that's used a lot in broadcasting, but I think it can describe what's happening here. Jaden Fielding on for the extra point, swings the leg through, and it's between the uprights. Ohio State lets out a cheer, and they are up 24-0 in this edition, the 111th of the Rose Bowl. We will be right back after a quick break. 10:28 to go. Jeremiah Smith, his 2nd touchdown of the day again. 24-0 Buckeyes. $181, right, Tyler?
I think it's 85.
Ohio State leads Oregon 24-0 with 10:28 to go in the 2nd quarter of the 111th installment of the Rose Bowl. Jeremiah Smith, one of the best freshmen in college football, up to 161 yards and 2 touchdowns with that last catch that ended that drive. He is sneaking up on Jackson Smith and Jigba's record, 185 yards in a half in the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago against Utah. We remember that game. That was something else, to say the least.
That it was. I mean, I didn't think I could find a performance that would ever catch that again. But, I mean, Jeremiah Smith and Will Howard, for that matter, I mean, they're starting to go on that tear for what was a phenomenal quarterback wide receiver game. And in the first half, 5 catches, $165 there for Jeremiah Smith. The last catch, a 43-yard touchdown. He said earlier this week when talking to the media, if I'm one-on-one, I'm open. And I think he's proven that just a little bit here today. I mean, 5 catches, 165. That's not a bad first half.
He burnt the cornerback on that route out to the corner of the end zone. There was nobody within 5 yards of him on that last touchdown, and he will be in a lot of history books when it's all said and done. He's already trending towards some Rose Bowl records like we talked about. Jackson Smith and Jigba, of course, well over 300 yards in that game that he had at 185 in the first half just a couple of years ago. Jaden Fielding in the special teams unit out for the kickoff. Again, it's 24-0 with 10:28 on the clock here in quarter number 2. The beautiful San Gabriel Mountains in the background, trees lining the stadium in this nice neighborhood here in Pasadena, California. What a scene we've got, Connor.
That indeed doesn't get much better, and well, if you're Ohio State, you're liking that scenery even more right now.
Fielding jogging up to the ball, swings it through, and caroms past Noah Whittington, the deep man for Oregon, for a touchback. So these Ducks need to respond now.
That they do. Connor, I think they got to start. I mean, you got to get a run game going. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Whether it's been between the tackles and outside the tackles, Jordan James has really not been able to get much going so far. 7 carries, 14 yards. If you can have him bust a big one, that's going to be so huge. Opens up the offense.
25-yard line, near hash line for Dylan Gabriel, and the Ducks' Noah Whittington is his tailback to his right side. He's in the shotgun, takes it, hands off for Whittington, and stopped behind the line of scrimmage by a handful of Buckeyes. The charge was led by Tyleek Williams and Caden Curry, who pumps his fist after the play.
Yeah, Curry got that first at the TFL for him alongside Williams. Williams able to collapse him after that, and then the Ohio State linebacker core just filtered down, and once again, they tried to run outside zone that time, and Ohio State has just not let any running yards go. 12 rush yards so far for Oregon today.
10 minutes on the clock. It's a loss of 1. 2nd and 11 at the 24 near hash line. Gabriel drops back, fires left for Johnson, who catches it and runs to the sideline, pushed out by Styles. A gain of roughly 12. It's a first down.
There's a little out route that time there for Johnson. He's working on the sophomore Jermaine Matthews that time, and he was able to get a good little release on him. That's a needed play just to make it more 3rd and manageable here.
That was much shorter than I thought. It's actually 3rd and 4, so it'll go as a gain of 7 for Tez Johnson in the record books. Gabriel makes a clap and a call. Terrence Ferguson lined up in line on the right side. Trayshawn Holden alone on that side, wide. Justice Lowe and Tez Johnson out wide to the right. Gabriel takes the snap in the shotgun, looks right, rolls left, Curry in motion, and fires it, almost intercepted by Caleb Downs, but couldn't come down with it. That ball was right to him.
Yeah, man, that was just a little bit of a low pass by Gabriel, and Downs not able to get underneath it. That was good protection there for the Ducks, gave him time to work with, but other than that, just protection collapsed, flushed out of the pocket. Caden Curry came off that edge and forced Gabriel to make a throw on the run. And another punt for the Ducks, as the right foot of Ross James has gotten a lot of work so far in this first half.
4th and 4 at the Oregon 31-yard line. 9 minutes to go here at the Rose Bowl. What a performance all around by Ohio State. James drops it and kicks it high in the air off to the left side. Brandon Ennis watches it travel out of bounds at around the 30-yard line. So the Buckeyes get another chance at it, and they haven't shown any signs of slowing down in this one. So we'll see what happens here soon. And like we mentioned coming out of the break here a little bit ago, this has been totally unprecedented with how that first game went, but we're gonna break this one off for a quick media timeout. 8:59 is the time on the clock in the second quarter of play at the Rose Bowl. Ohio State up 24-0 on the Ducks.
Retirement is the sum of your life's work.
Score remains 24-0 after a Ross James punt for Oregon. 8:59 to go. The Buckeyes are dominating, and they'll get the ball once again without a point on the board for their adversary, the Ducks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this has gone about as right for Ohio State as you can. 24-0. Oregon just can't get anything going. It's been that running game that's just been like running in quicksand right now for the Ducks, and Dylan Gabriel really hasn't busted out an intermediate deep throw so far. It's been all short passes over the middle, and Ohio State has just let the Ducks take those underneath passes and then able to funnel down on them. So still a lot of time left to be played in this first half, just under 9 minutes, but if you're Oregon, you got to think about adjusting the game plan right now, because Ohio State has been able to take what they've been given on offense, and Jim Knowles and company have schemed up a pretty good defensive game plan so far.
Whatever's happening isn't quite working for them. And to your point about Dylan Gabriel, he's 9 for 14, and so is Will Howard, but Gabriel for 54 yards and Howard for 255. Goodness. Ball spotted at the 34-yard line at the near hash for Will Howard and company. Trevion Henderson to his left. He takes the snap. Hands off for Henderson. Got some room off to the right. And he's getting past that final defender, Uyangalele. He's got room. Henderson, just one man to beat. Scores another touchdown. Ohio State is up 30-0 in the first half of the Rose Bowl.
66 yards on the scamper.
66.
I mean, he just took an outside zone. No one was on the outside for Oregon. Josh Fryer on that right side of the line just paved the way for him. Great block on the outside. Donovan Jackson came on a left tackle pull, and that was all Trevion Henderson needed to sprint his way into the end zone.
I'm at a loss for words. Utter domination by Ohio State, now via the run game, for veteran running back Trevion Henderson. Fielding on for the extra point, boots it right through, and Ohio State fans are feeling good on this Wednesday afternoon.
I'm sure Ohio State feels good as well. I mean, what an incredible showing. And this isn't like a week one game where Ohio State's playing, say, Akron out of the MAC. This is the number one team in the country who many thought was going to steamroll their way to a national title. Arguably the proverbial favorite to win the national title. And this is definitely the most flat you have seen Oregon come out in probably years. I mean, it's just been all-out domination here in this one for the Buckeyes, but if you're Ohio State, you cannot let that get to your head. You have to keep the foot on the gas, because I know it's a 31-0 game. That's a very, very difficult deficit to overcome. We still got a whole lot of ball game left to play here in this one. This is a Duck team that is number one in the country for a reason. They can score on you in bunches. But if you're Ohio State, you have to keep the pedal momentum and keep this momentum on your side.
There's still more than 2.5 quarters left to play, but it is 31-0. This is the best the Buckeyes have played all year. Fielding boots the kickoff away towards Noah Whittington, and it flies by him into the outline of a football on the left side of that end zone. And Oregon comes onto the field as Jermaine Matthews of Ohio State and company. Peyton Pierce there as well, hyping up the Ohio State side of the crowd. And you can already see some fans on the Oregon side starting to file out a little bit. And you can imagine why this Rose Bowl just has not gone their way. They're back out there on offense, middle of the field at the 25 of the Ducks. Gabriel in shotgun. Hands off to James, who's stopped behind the line of scrimmage by JT Tuimoloau. And Sonny Styles just going nowhere.
Jack Sawyer's in there, Cody Simon's in there. They just shed the blocks, just able to run downhill. And that is Ohio State's 4th tackle for loss here in this game so far.
And Oregon's ran for 10 yards on 10 carries to this point. 8-17 and ticking in the second quarter. 31-0. Gabriel in the shotgun, 2nd and 12, 23-yard line of Oregon. Gabriel takes the snap, fakes the handoff, pressure in his face, batted down by Jack Sawyer. He was feet away from him on that right side, and he almost picked it off.
That's the second week in a row he's done that. He had one against Tennessee where if he catches it, he's going the other way for 6. That time, he just catches that. He's got 10 yards to gallop into the end zone. But either way, he bats it down, and another 3rd and long for Oregon coming up.
Jack Sawyer, the #1 recruit in Ohio when he came to the Buckeyes, is playing the best stretch of football he's ever had here. Gabriel, 3rd and 12, 23-yard line. Drops back. Gabriel looking right, has a lot of time. Rolling out to the left, fires left. Was that picked off? No.
Pass is incomplete.
Incomplete. Caleb Downs had it in his hands, couldn't stay in bounds, but this is now the 3rd time we've seen Caleb Downs almost come down with a pick. Dylan Gabriel has been rattled by this Buckeyes defense all day.
I mean, that's tremendous, or should I say protection, that time by the Duck offensive line. Gabriel had all day to throw, but just that secondary for Ohio State blanketed everyone up, and Downs, he had it in his hands, just not able to toe tap his way along the sideline.
Ross James out there once again to punt. 7:57 on the clock. He's going to kick it from about his own 15. Low line drive, and Caleb Downs is there to recover it for a fair catch just behind the 40-yard line. And we keep saying it, and there's not much else to say when the game is going like this. 31-0, Ohio State, 7:50 to go. They get it on their own 39, but this truly could not be going better for the Buckeyes.
No, it has not. Ohio State outgaining the Ducks, 347 to 64. 255 pass yards for Will Howard here in this first half. 92 on the ground now for the Buckeyes. You mentioned it, Oregon has only 10 in that category. I mean, it's just been domination so far.
1st and 10 for the Buckeyes, ball on the 39 in Ohio State territory. Jeremiah Smith in motion left to right. Howard in the pistol, hands it off for Judkins. Up the middle, past a few tacklers, getting through the middle of the defense, but eventually brought down just inside the yard line at the 50 by, it looked like, Tysheem Johnson. That's a run of well over 10 yards for a Buckeye first down.
Yeah, that's that right side of the offensive line for Ohio State starting to dominate now. Tager Shavola, Josh Fryer able to roll that pavement there for Judkins, who burst right through that middle across the 50 and right back into Duck territory.
Ball spotted at the Oregon 46. Howard is alone in the backfield. Judkins joins him on his left side. He's in the shotgun. 2 tight ends set. Howard takes it, hands off for Judkins around the outside and thrown down over there by Devin Jackson, the sophomore linebacker out of Omaha.
Yeah, they try to go right side again. Jackson did a great job outside, contained that time. 4 Judkins out about only a gain of 4, but Judkins turns that corner. That's another big run there for the Buckeye running back.
6:45 on the tick here in the second quarter. 2nd and 6 for Ohio State on the Oregon 42. It's 31-0. Buckeyes lead here in the Rose Bowl. Howard in the shotgun. Ball spotted at the right hash. Pitch play to Egbuka. Running, stretching out to the left side, looking for the corner. And he is eventually brought down by Nico Reed and Jeffrey Bassa out there, and it was just short of the first down.
Ohio State, a little misdirection. They fake to give the Judkins and a little shovel pass out in front to Egbuka. Bassa did a great job of pushing him out of bounds before that. He could cross that first down marker, but still 3rd and 2 for Ohio State.
3rd and 2, 6 minutes to go here in quarter number 2. Buckeyes break the huddle. Brendan Innes out there in line on the left side. Carnell Tate out in line as well. Howard pushes it right up the gut and runs over his line for a gain of about 4 and the first.
Ohio State.
3rd and 2 there for Ohio State. I don't think really anyone in the stadium had QB sneak on the bingo card that time. Howard was able to catch that middle of the defense off guard there for Oregon. He was able to shove his way forward enough for the first down. The Buckeyes keep the ball moving. They're also taking time off the clock too here for Oregon, with that time ticking under 5.5 minutes in the second quarter.
5:22 to go at the 35-yard line. 1st and 10 after the Will Howard QB sneak. He's got Judkins to his left, G. Scott to his right. Now Judkins moves behind him Smith is alone to the left side, pitches it back to Smith on the end around. Smith navigating through tacklers up to the 30-yard line, and he is spun down by Tyshim Johnson at the numbers.
Johnson and Nico Reed collapsed there. It's pretty good play recognition there for Oregon. Ohio State, little end around that time. G. Scott leading the way for the Buckeyes. And Smith, that's a good play too. He turned himself at the end of that tackle as Reed was trying to strip the ball out of his grasp. If he doesn't turn himself there, that ball's probably coming out of his hands and going the way of Oregon.
2nd and 5 at the 30-yard line of Oregon. 4:30 to go on the clock. Howard in the shotgun. Judkins to his left. Fakes the handoff, fires left side on the quick pass to Carnell Tate, who is brought down by Tyshim Johnson all the way on that left side at about the 22-yard line. It'll be a first down.
That's just a second target today for Carnell Tate. And all he did was ran a short little hitch route. Howard hit him on the numbers. He was just able to push his way down to the 20-yard line.
Jabbar Muhammad was in on the stop as well. 1st and 10, 4 minutes to go. 20-yard line. Buckeyes knocking on the door of the red zone. Spotted on that far hash line. Igbuka in motion. Standing behind Judkins, who's to Howard's left in the backfield. Howard takes the snap, fakes the handoff, fires it off to the right side for Tate and over his head and out of bounds. And in coverage over there. Waiting for him to turn the jersey around, but it looks like that might have been Kobe Savage.
Yeah, Savage there, step for step that time of Carnell Tate. That would have had to been dropped in a tight window. Also, Nico Reed out there for the Ducks as well in coverage. I mean, Howard would have had to put that pinpoint accuracy there. That was a tough throw to make, and he just overshot him.
2nd and 10, 20-yard line once again. Same spot, far hash line. Howard in the shotgun. Judkins to his right, lone receiver out to the left. Hands off to Judkins, runs up for a few yards, but gets tackled down over there by Brandon Johnson, the nickelback.
Yeah, the Duke transfer that time came right through the middle, and Judkins was wrapped up after a short gain. Much needed stop there for Oregon to stop that Ohio State run. And Ohio State well in the field goal range, 3rd and 8, but they want to keep this drive going.
3:24 on the clock. 3rd and 8, 18-yard line at that far hash. Howard in the shotgun, Henderson to his left, Jeremiah Smith wide open on the left side. Watch out for that. 3 receivers out wide to the right. Howard takes the snap, drops back, fires to the end zone for Henderson, just out of his reach, into the back of the end zone. It's 4th and 8, but a short one for Jaden Fielding here.
Yeah, Ohio State and their crowd was arguing for the pass interference, but I don't know if that ball was catchable there for Travion Henderson as they just tried a little halfback angle route out towards that corner of the end zone, and Jaden Fielding will be on to attempt another field goal here for the Buckeyes.
This one looks to be roughly 36 yards for Fielding. Hit a 46-yarder earlier in this game. 3:04 on the clock, 4th and 8, 18-yard line at the left hatch. Snap is good, kick is up, high, and through. Fielding 2 for 2 today. It's 34-0 with 2:59 left to go on the clock here in quarter number 2. Each team will take to their sidelines here for a moment, but this feels like the first time in a while we've seen Ohio State finish with a field goal rather than a touchdown.
Yeah, but still, 6 drives that they have scored here in this game. They have had 7 so far. They have been nearly perfect on offense here, and they're just extending this lead. And I mean, it's so huge because there's still a lot of time left to play in this game, but just the more points you add on, the tougher and tougher this gets for this Oregon team to dig themselves out of this hole. And that's even if they were pretty much playing perfect on offense. When the Ducks, I mean, they're averaging only probably under 10 yards a play right here, about 2. They got 64 yards here with 3 minutes to go in this first half. I mean, they just haven't been able to do anything, so just building this lead has been so huge.
Fielding runs up, swings the leg through, ball travels through the air in the left side of the field and out of the back of the end zone. So Dylan Gabriel and these Oregon Ducks are going to get another chance, and looked like there was some discussion had between, it looks like that's Bryce Betcher potentially, and a couple of Ohio State players ran in between a few of them.
It was a Harvell Reese there who, on the kickoff coverage, planted Betcher into the ground, and he came up and pointed it in his face, which he's pretty lucky he didn't get hit with a flag there. That's something where if you're Ohio State, you're playing with confidence, but you can't play stupid here.
Gabriel, 1st and 10 at the 25 of Oregon. In the shotgun, takes the snap, fakes the handoff to Whittington. Deep drop, fires right over the middle to Whittington, and a gain of maybe 1 on the check down.
It's Cody Simon making the tackle, and Ohio State just defensively here. They're taking everything away on the outside in the pass game here for the Ducks. They're just forced to dump off, and these Ohio State linebackers have been cleaning it up.
They'll call it a gain of 1. Ducks are in the middle of the field, shadows descending on the field at the Rose Bowl. Gabriel's in the shotgun with Whittington still in there on his right side. James has taken a long break. Justice Lowe is the lone receiver on the right side. Tez Johnson's in motion from left to right now. Takes the snap, hands it off to Whittington, runs right up the middle to the 30-yard line. Tackled down by a school of Buckeyes led by Tyleek Williams. It's 3rd and 5.
Yeah, Hero Kanu also in there for the Buckeyes. That's a needed gain there for Oregon. Sets themselves up 3rd and medium here. Got to have this one.
And we've hit the 2-minute timeout. Here on the field, it's 3rd and 5. So with that, we will take a quick break here at Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. 34-0 is the score with exactly 2 minutes on the ticker in the second quarter. We'll be right back.
As we ask
Two minutes to go at the timeout. 34-0. Ohio State up tremendously against the Oregon Ducks here in the Rose Bowl. The college football playoff quarterfinal for a date with the Texas Longhorns, who just prevailed against Arizona State in double overtime. And it's 3rd and 5 for Oregon here, but I'm not going to say the writing's on the wall here, but it is not often that a team can come back from down 34-0.
I mean, this is, at this point, every 3rd down like this, every place must have Oregon. You got to execute here. You got to find something. And really, even if you don't get points here, I feel like Oregon needs first. I'm just going to take time off the clock with the way this Ohio State offense is clicking. They still have 2 minutes here if they get the ball back.
Dylan Gabriel in the shotgun. He motions Whittington out wide. He comes back to the backfield. He's on Gabriel's left, takes the snap. Holding, rolling right, has some space, fires on the run to Terrence Ferguson, who catches at the 40 and is tackled down by Lathan Ransom right at the numbers, and they are hurrying back into their formation. It's 1st and 10 at the 40.
There you go, much needed if you're Oregon now. Playing with pace, trying to try to keep this Buckeye defense off guard. Don't let them sub, and try to keep moving this ball.
Minute 43 and ticking. 1st and 10 at the 40. Gabriel claps, Johnson's in motion. All the way out to the right side, takes the snap, rolls left, fires deep down the right side for Johnson, and it's way long. Denzel Burke was there in coverage, but Johnson was about 5 yards off the ball.
It was like Denzel Burke was running the deep post that time instead of Johnson. Gabriel just overshot him. And if that ball was a little bit more underthrown, I mean, that's going to be right in the breadbasket of Denzel Burke.
1:26 to go. Clock stops after the incompletion. Ran that deep post coming towards the middle of the field, but it's not even close. Gabriel, far hash, 2nd and 10. In the shotgun, drops back, rolls left once again. Runs away from some tacklers, then is sacked by 3 Buckeyes in there. Davison Igbinosun, JT Tuimoloau, and finally Tyleek Williams, all wrapping up the all Big Ten quarterback.
Well, that play was done exclusively, or set up, should I say, exclusively by JT Tuimoloau. He was able to push the left tackle, Josh Connolly Jr., to the left side and force Gabriel back in, and that allowed Igbinosun, that allowed Williams to get there, and JTT was also able to collapse on him as well.
Time continues to trickle down. 50 seconds left in the first half. 34-yard line, 3rd and 16 for Gabriel and company. He's at the near hash line in the shotgun. Johnson in motion. Claps, receives the snap, has it chest high, starts to roll right, fires left side for Holden, wide open to the 40, has some green grass, cuts inside, knocked over by Sonny Styles. Massive pass play for the Oregon Ducks, all the way down to the opposing 20, flipping the field.
He just snuck his way back to the sideline. He got wide open, no one there for Ohio State, and that's the play that Oregon needed. Get down deep into the field.
They hurry to the line. There's 28 seconds to go. Gabriel takes the snap, fakes the throw to the left. Kando gets some pressure. He fires right now. That almost hit the ground. Whittington has it, shakes off a tackler, and Caleb Downs chopped him down at the numbers at the 18-yard line on the far side of the field.
Good tackle on space, good pocket mobility as Oregon will take a timeout here, but that's great pocket mobility there by Gabriel. He had Hiro Kano bearing down right on him. He was just able to dance around him and find his man out in the flat, and that's a good open field tackle as well by Caleb Downs.
It was incredible, and Dan Lanning with his first time out of the game called, and you can imagine he's probably a little rattled, and they have 16 seconds left. They're going to be at the Ohio State 18-yard line on 2nd and 6 after the timeout, but if you're calling a play here, what would you want to draw up if you're Dan Lanning or Will Stein?
Well, you don't have a lot of time left, 16 seconds, but I think the big thing here for Oregon, you still have 16 seconds and 2 timeouts. So you can take a play over the middle. You don't have to get out of bounds. So I would just like to get something, some crosser, maybe a slant, just get some yards here. If you don't have to take the home run shot, you can set yourself up here with a little short intermediate gain over the middle here. You still have 2 timeouts. Even maybe you could even say run the ball, although obviously 8 yards of total running so far, probably not the greatest idea.
Gabriel in the shotgun. Ducks are back out into the field. Trips formation on the left side. Whittington is still the back. He's the sidecar to the left of the lefty, Gabriel. Johnson motions out wide to the right, fakes the handoff. Gabriel in the middle of pressure, rolls out to the left, escaping. He's free out to the 15 and out of bounds, pushed by Caleb Downs at the 12, and that'll go for a first down.
Looks like Hector Houston and Mitchell Nelson collapsed the pocket that time for Oregon, as he just had to scramble out of the pocket. Gabriel did, and he was able to scamper and get 5 yards there, set up 3rd and 1, but that also took out 7 seconds off the clock, only 9 on the timer.
So now it's 3rd and 1. He didn't quite get the corner. 9 seconds to go. Near hash line, 3rd and 1, 13-yard line. Gabriel in the shotgun, steps back, firing over the middle to Whittington, sheds a tackler and spun down by Simon and hit finally by Ransom. 2 seconds to play. And I think you have to bring out the kicking unit.
Oh, yeah. Just get some points. I mean, you don't want to go empty here. No sense in taking a shot for the end zone. Still 2 quarters left to play. Just come out and get some points here. And it's a good open field tackle, too, by the Buckeyes. I mean, Simon saved what potentially could have been a touchdown as Whittington just so elusive, able to slither into the middle of the field. And they'll add a second on. Officially 3 seconds left to go here. 1st and goal, ball's on the 5. So chip shot here for the Ducks. You got to imagine they're going to take their points.
And back to that tackle. Before that, it looked like Whittington was wrapped up by Styles on the catch, but he was able to spin himself out of his clutches and get ahead for a few more yards and set up what could be an easy one for Atticus Sappington, the kicker for Oregon, who's been really solid all year, 14 for 16, but he was out there practicing for a second. They're going to bring out the offense.
I mean, down 34-0, 7 would be way better than 3 here, but if you come up empty here, if you're Dan Lanning and co., that is a tough way to end the first half after moving the ball well for the first time all game.
Well, you have to make a gamble here. 3 seconds to go on the 5-yard line, first and goal right in the middle of the field. Gabriel in the shotgun. He's the lone man in the backfield. Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end, had 2 touchdowns against Penn State. Has lined up out wide, and he's motioning in line with Trayshawn Holden. Gabriel takes the snap, but it's a dead ball. Referees call it dead.
I think Ryan Day took a timeout, and that's indeed what he did. I was going to say there, Connor, keep an eye here on Ryan Day. He's probably going to want to see what Oregon comes out in, and there he goes, takes one of his 2 timeouts.
And now maybe Dan Lanning thinks twice about trying to go for this. We'll see what his decision is here in a second, but Will Stein and his talent as a coordinator, I'm sure they have a deep, deep bag of tricks here.
We saw this on the only other drive where Oregon was able to get into Ohio State territory. It was a much longer field goal, probably about 50-plus yards, at about 4th and 5. They came out, Day called the timeout, they left to keep the offense out there, and it's looking like it's going to be the same thing here on this first and goal.
Yeah, it looks like they're keeping the offense out there. Buckeye defense is ready. Jermaine Matthews getting the rep at outside corner. Looks like they've got him on, I think that's Tez Johnson on the near side of the field. Jordan Hancock on the slot receiver. Gabriel in the shotgun, Whittington to his right. Holden motions in line. Gabriel takes the snap, looking left, looking right, stepping up, rolling left, firing to the end zone, caught, touchdown. Ducks. Trayshawn Holden had it in the back of the end zone.
Huge there for Oregon as Gabriel, he's just been so elusive in the pocket tonight, able to climb the pocket, navigate it, and looked like he was going to take off, and that drew Cody Simon up there to stop him, and instead Holden was able to get to the back of the end zone. That's one for Cody Simon where it's like, what do? You got to cover one man, but if you don't step up and stop Gabriel, he's just able to walk into the end zone, nothing you can really do. Downs couldn't knock it down, and Oregon desperately can't understate how needed that was just to get 6 and potentially 8. They're keeping the offense out here going into the break.
I just try to get as many points as they possibly can, and I don't blame him at all. Trayshawn Holden, 1 catch in their first matchup with Ohio State. He was ejected for spitting on Davis Igbinosin, if you remember correctly. On that note, they're going to go for 2. Gabriel alone in the backfield. Whittington in motion, fakes a handoff to him on the jet sweep. Alone in the pocket, fires to the back of the end zone. Justice Lowe in there to complete the 2-point conversion. It's 34-8 going into halftime. 0-0s on the clock. Ohio State is up big, but Oregon a little bit of momentum coming out.
And energy. I mean, you get this crowd, and you can probably hear them beneath us. They are loud. They are back into this game, and it's going to be a question. Oregon gets the ball first to start the second half. If you score and go down and score 6, this game's not over by any means.
Certainly not. We enter the 20-minute halftime period here at the Rose Bowl in the college football playoff semifinal. Here on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio, it's 34-8. Ohio State leads, and Connor Canfield will join me, Connor Schuh, on the halftime show here in a few minutes.
Happy New Year.
"34-8 is your score here in the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl, at halftime. An incredible performance from the Ohio State Buckeyes so far, but Oregon capped off that final quarter of the first half, the second, very, very well with a long touchdown drive, and ended in a throw to Trayshawn Holden in the back of the end zone, and eventually the two-point conversion to Justice Lowe. So things are looking better for the Ducks, but it's such a long road for them.
I mean, but at the start, obviously, outscored 34-0 to start, but you get that touchdown, you get the two-point conversion, only down by 26. That's 4 scores, basically. So, like you said, a lot of road left to go. But you still got 30 minutes left to play. You come out and score a touchdown if you're Oregon, maybe another 2-pointer. Gets a little interesting. Obviously, you gain some momentum back to your team. You get your crowd back into it a little bit. You can never say never in college football. Obviously, but it's such a huge hole. And so that's going to be the big part that we look at the end of this game. Oregon not able to complete what would be one of the greatest comebacks in college football history. You go down 34-0, it's very tough to win a game. You can't have that happen. And Ohio State, outside of that drive right there for Oregon, near perfection there in that half.
390 yards of offense for Ohio State, 139 for Oregon, 269 through the air for Will Howard, not far off of his career high of over 320 against, guess who? The Oregon Ducks. Earlier this year, and chunk play after chunk play for Ohio State was what really propelled them. You think of the 66-yard touchdown run for Travion Henderson, the long throws to Mecca Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith, of course, both 40-yard touchdown passes from one Will Howard. I don't even really know where to go from this. It's just an absolute beatdown from them, but we saw the 14-point first quarter. The momentum was really swinging in their direction at that point, but that second quarter, I think, is when it all really changed, and they rattled off 34 straight. Connor, is this the best they've played all season?
You certainly could argue. I mean, to do this against the #1 team in the country, they're averaging right now 11.8 yards per play, 8 yards per carry. Will Howard played near perfect, and you could even argue that a couple of those throws he missed, and that is the most nitpickiest of things to look at. He just left a couple of high, but he has been near phenomenal. Made some phenomenal deep throws. Jeremiah Smith, how about first half for him? 5 catches, buck 61. Emeka Egbuka got down there for a 42-yard touchdown. 4 catches on 4 targets for him, 68 yards. G. Scott Jr. had that big reception to start the game. Carnell Tate, he's been running party out there, just clearing things out for his receivers downfield. He's done a tremendous job underneath, just drawing people to him. Travion Henderson, he's got 2 carries, he's got 70 yards. I mean, everything's gone right for him. The defense has been phenomenal as well for the Buckeyes. Couple of tackles for loss, up to 6 here. Another great half for JTT, 2 TFLs, a sack for him. So, I mean, everyone's just done incredibly right here for Ohio State in this half.
34-8, Oregon down by a ton. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but what's the blueprint for them to find a way back into this game as hard as it seems?
They got the big play on the pass. Obviously, the run game has been not great. 13 yards on the ground, which is something, you have to build upon that in the second half. But they were able to sneak past the Ohio State defense there on that end. Holden was able wide open on the near side sideline for Oregon, and that opened up the offense. 44-yard completion there. You need that big play. You're going to need a lot more of those in the second half, but that was something they couldn't get through that entire stretch of the first half. They were just taking throws underneath, pretty much nowhere on the ground. And Ohio State, I mean, they'll play those outsides, let you throw underneath. Linebackers are there to mop up. You get behind the defense, those linebackers are going to have to play back a little bit more of that defense, and coverage is going to have to play back a little bit more. It's going to open up the game for the Ducks.
In Ohio State, it's a little bit more simple for them, but how do they keep Oregon off the gas?
You just can't let those big plays happen right there. That's what happened in that first matchup against the Ducks. They let those chunk plays happen. They let those big plays, got behind them, and they got torched at times. Ohio State gave up 361, I believe, through the air, and what was a 494 total yards of offense in that week for Oregon. If you just don't let Dillon Gabriel start to cook, and that running game can't get going, I think Ohio State cruises in the second half. But if you start to see Dylan Gabriel complete some big throws, then the Ducks make it a little bit more interesting. Still a lot of ground to make up. But we got 30 minutes of ball left to play. Still a lot of time for the Ducks to make a change.
Gabriel is at 126 yards through the air on 15 of 23 completions. 1 touchdown, no interceptions, although he had a handful of turnover-worthy throws. I think we can remember the 3 to Caleb Downs, all of them in his hands, but ultimately he did not come up with any of them, and you can only imagine how that would change this game even more.
Absolutely. Cody Simon had one in his hands on a 3rd down. Jack Sawyer, he had one where he batted down. If he's just able to high point the ball, he walks right into the end zone. I mean, there's been a couple of plays where Ohio State could argue they have some interceptions, but that's in the past for Ohio State, and I don't think they really needed them. Honestly, I mean, they, like we said, they've played pretty much perfect football so far, but those are plays too, or if you can get a couple of those in the second half, you're going to be able to put this game in the rearview mirror.
34-8. Ohio State firmly in the lead with 10.5 minutes and counting until the second half of play as the Ohio State band plays on the field. One of their many great performances, but stay tuned here in a little bit for Austin Crume and Tyler Danburg to take you home in half number 2. For Connor Canfield, I'm Connor Schuh, and we'll say good night and a Happy New Year.
After one half of play in the 111th Rose Bowl in the college football playoff quarterfinal, number 8 seed Ohio State leads number 1 seed Oregon 34-8 from Rose Bowl Stadium in Pasadena. He's Austin Crume. I'm Tyler Danburg. Austin, Ohio State outgained Oregon 390-139, and Oregon got most of its yardage on that final drive when they scored 8 points, including a key 2-point conversion from Dylan Gabriel to Justice Lowe.
And it was a lucky ball, but a great route from Trayshawn Holden to get the 6 points. There were 3 seconds left on the ticking clock of the game itself. And think about this. You're 1st and 5 if you're Dylan Gabriel. What do? You get scrambled out. You drop back a couple of yards to your right. You rush up a little to the left. Caleb Downs realizes this, and you and I talked about it while watching behind Connor Canfield and Connor Schuh broadcasting it. Downs did exactly what he was supposed to do. He ran up, had to make sure that it was not an easy alleyway for Gabriel to run into the end zone. He jumped as well once he realized that Gabriel was going to throw it. Perfect coverage, but just a beautiful ball to Trayshawn Holden.
Ohio State with one of its best halves in bowl history. 2nd most points in a bowl game first half. That's courtesy of stat savant Luke Petoskey. Austin, 7 possessions in that first half for Ohio State. They scored on 6 of them, 4 of them touchdowns.
I mean, partner, we're looking at the score by quarter currently. Ohio State 14 points in the first quarter. They got their first 7 within about a minute. A 30-yard catch by G. Scott Jr., then the 45-yard catch from Jeremiah Smith, and then the extra point from Jaden Fielding. And then they did it again in the second. 20 points to go along with it. And a big question coming into this one with how close the first game really was here, Tyler. How is Jaden Fielding going to fare? He didn't get that shot at the end of the first matchup where the clocks hit 000. He's now had his shot. He's made one from 46 and from about 39. His career high is 47, and he looks about as confident as I believe I've ever seen him in his 3 years at Ohio State.
You said that was big for his psyche.
Agree, 100%. It has to be. I mean, think about it this way. If you go the route of looking at social media, which, of course, a lot of coaches and players do not like to do, there's going to be some things on there that you don't want to see. Of course, Ohio State at a top school like this with the football talent that they have year in and year out, you're going to get some bad messages here and there. And there were not some very nice messages to Jaden Fielding after his Michigan performance. Since that point, I think the entire team has taken that with a chip on their shoulder. And it's crazy to say that a team favored in a game like this in Ohio State should have a chip on their shoulder, but something about them, whether it is Chip Kelly himself being on their shoulder as their play caller, it has helped so much in this second matchup.
After 4 years as head coach at Oregon, Chip Kelly knows a little bit about the program. Now, with 2 minutes from second half kick, Oregon will receive, Ohio State will kick. The main combination so far has been Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith, who's putting together the best game in his young magical career.
I mean, 5 receptions, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns. That 45 was the long of the game so far, and it was his second target of the game. The first one was an incompletion to him, and then they go right back to it. I mean, these are plays and drives that if you are Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith, you have to feel incredible about. Howard, 11 of 18 with 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. The biggest factor to me that is really sticking out right now, 61% completion rate for Howard. That is actually on the lower side of what he's had this season, but when he has gone with the deep ball, with the big play, in needed moments, it has been on the money every single time.
2022 Rose Bowl, Jackson Smith and Jigba had 185 yards in the first half. 2025 Rose Bowl, Jeremiah Smith finished the first half with 161 yards. Those are the 2 most receiving yard games in the first half in Ohio State Bowl history. There seems to be something about an Ohio State receiver in this venue.
Partner, it also has to think about the last time these two teams played. Jeremiah Smith, 9 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown. You can get that off the top of your head just by remembering the kind of performance that he had. Jabbar Muhammad went against him one-on-one and then switched to Nico Reed later in the game to have the size advantage if you're Nico Reed over Jabbar Muhammad. Nico Reed 5'10", 180, Jabbar Muhammad 5'10", 185. Reed plays a little bit more physical. He'll be on you. That's the reason Jeremiah Smith had that late OPI call. He was trying to get away from the Oregon secondary. The biggest thing I've noticed so far, and Connor Schuh brought this to my attention, since Jeremiah Smith was targeted in that first quarter, he has somewhat gone silent because they're focusing on running a too high safety look and trying to clamp down with 2 defenders.
Time for the second half from Pasadena, California. It's the 111th Rose Bowl game. and the college football playoff quarterfinal. Winner of this game takes on Texas in the Cotton Bowl Classic on January 10th. The Buckeyes lead the Ducks 34-8. Number 8 seed Ohio State 1/2 away from 5 straight Rose Bowl wins. Number 1 seed Oregon looking to mount an historic comeback. Buckeyes are the traveling whites, kick from right to left. The Ducks return it from left to right in the throwback green. Jaden Lamar, Noah Whittington back deep to return in front of the Oregon painted end zone to our left. Jaden Fielding has the ball teed up at his own 35-yard line, swings the right leg through, sends it end over end into the shade, and it pierces the green painted Oregon end zone to our left, and out come the Oregon Ducks. Austin, it's 34-8, Ohio State. How does Oregon complete a comeback?
Partner, the first time that Oregon went out offensively in this game, they were held 3 and out, bring the punts unit on. They cannot allow that. I think you got to start slow, see what the ground game looks like if Ohio State's going with their linebacker group, and then start airing it out outside the numbers and really see what you can get going against the secondary.
1st and 10 Ducks at their own 25-yard line. Noah Whittington in at running back, sidecar right. Snap it, a hand up to Whittington off the left side. Tyleek Williams drags down Whittington, who retreats to the line of scrimmage on the left side for a gain of nothing. How about Tyleek Williams just holding on?
I mean, 6'3", 327, the senior out of Manassas, Virginia. They don't build boys that big who should be able to move like he does. I mean, he's a freak of nature, and he's going to have to be an incredible piece of this front four for the Buckeyes in the second half.
Like Tom Cruise holding onto the plane in Mission Impossible.
Oh, you know ball.
Try to. 2nd and 10, Oregon from its own 25 at the left hash. 4 down lineman, Ferguson motion man, right to left, he's the tight end. Snap to Gabriel, flushed right, Jack Sawyer wrangles him down around the shins and does an 0-8 signal to the Ohio State fans on the far side. That's a sack for Sawyer. He's got 2.5 over the last 2 postseason games.
Captain Jack said in the first game against Oregon in week 7, he did not play well and that he's been having nightmares about that performance. Getting to Gabriel and bringing him all the way back to the 13-yard line has to feel incredible for number 33.
Loss of 12. Ohio State in white on the far sideline, jumping up and down. Oregon in the chrome helmets on the near sideline, looking for something. 3rd and 22. Backfield empties for Gabriel. Trips right, 2 men to the left. Belt tie snap to Gabriel. 5-man front comes charging. Gabriel careens outside the left hash. Throws on the run to the left sideline. Coming back to make the catch is Justice Lowe, who had the 2-point conversion, and he moves the sticks.
21-yard gain.
Or no, they're going to say he's a yard short. They needed 22. He gets 21 up to the Oregon 34.
My goodness, and they were going to move with tempo as well. The Ducks thought they got that first down, and we're going to go right back into it and force Ohio State to try to pinch. Now they have a little bit more time going back to the huddle, but Justice Lowe, that 2-point conversion and now a big gain and almost a first down.
4th and run, Oregon left hash at the Ducks 34. Keeper for Gabriel off the left side. Powers past the 35. Caleb Downs upended him, but it's a Ducks first down with under 13 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. 34-8 Ohio State.
Partner, you would not believe that a game that's 34-8 is still close, and yet here we are hearing the Oregon faithful travel down from Eugene and make it loud at the Rose Bowl.
It's one of the best 3rd quarters in sports. Temperature is dipped under 70 degrees. The field is completely in the shade. 1st and 10 Ducks at their own 35-yard line. Holding motion man left to right. Snap to Gabriel. 5-man rush. He looks right. He throws right. Basket catch. Ferguson outside the numbers to the 40. And he is horned down inside the 50-yard line to the Buckeyes. 46. That's Terrence Ferguson, one of the top tight ends in the Big Ten.
He's a big target going outside, especially cutting across wide. Just beat Sonny Styles on the fade route to the near side.
Into plush territory, Oregon moving quickly. Gabriel, quick throw, right sideline. Nestled in on the chalk by Noah Whittington.
Gain of 5.
And he's stopped by Davison Igbinosun. That's a gain of 5, 2nd and 5.
And it is a quick line change for Ohio State. Edric Houston and Mitchell Melton coming in. Tyleek Williams and JT Tuimoloau going out.
Mitchell Melton saw a high volume of snaps in the first half. He's playing off the right side against left tackle. Split back formation, snap to Gabriel, delayed handoff to Whittington. behind his center. And he's inside the Ohio State 45-yard line for a modest gain of nothing. So it's 3rd and 5.
I don't know if I've ever seen Dylan Gabriel that nonchalant. Normally the quarterback you always think of who is just so nonchalant and calm in the pocket finished 4th in the Heisman voting. Behind him, his name's Cam Ward. He plays down in Miami.
11 minutes, 12 seconds in, ticking in quarter number 3. Ohio State 34, Oregon 8. 3rd and 5. Ducks from the Buckeyes 43. 4 down linemen for Ohio State. 1 high safety playing center field. That's Ransom. Twins each way. Snap to Gabriel. Slings it middle, and it is brought in. Trayshawn Holden inside the 35-yard line, going one-on-one with Lathan Ransom, the oncoming safety.
It's a beautiful ball again from Gabriel to Holden. Waited, had time in the pocket, started to collapse to his right. You talk about Ransom. He had it, and now they're going to send him back out wide with Caleb Downs, a 2 high safety, but bring in the DB who's probably the most experienced playing around the field, Jordan Hancock.
Gain of 15 for Holden. Jaden Lamar is the sidecar left. 3rd running back used today by the Ducks. It's a play fake to him. Gabriel bounces in the pocket. Houston pressures him. He eludes pressure. Dumps it off. Left flat. Caught Ferguson 15. Inside the 10. And he helicopters down to the 3-yard line. Jordan Hancock, the nickelback, caught up to him. Lost his helmet. And Ohio State's going to have to go to Lorenzo Styles. 1st and goal, Oregon. And Terrence Ferguson motors his way inside the 5.
You knew this was going to be a fast offense coming out of the break for Dylan Gabriel and Dan Lanning. Will Stein, whatever he's found in his book of recipes, he's been cooking up and adding to the pot as they're now inside the 5.
The Ducks are going to huddle here with under 10 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Ohio State 34, Oregon 8. This is the 17th Rose Bowl for the Buckeyes, 9th for Oregon. They have 7 straight combined wins. Trips to the short side left, snap and a handoff on 1st and goal, and it goes to Lamar, who jitterbugs off right guard. And that is Dave Iuli. JT